All right, it's 7:30. I'd like to bring the study session of Urbana School District 116 to order. Member Carter is feeling unwell and is attending via Zoom, so Secretary Pro Tem Ann Hall will be stepping in to do the roll call.
Member Carter is not here. Member Hasanatka?
Here.
Member Hall is here. Member Ogalski?
Here.
Member Orr?
Here.
Vice President Exum?
Here.
And President Pulowski.
Here, Member Carter via Zoom.
Oh, she is? I'm sorry. You said that. Member Carter, are you here yet?
Is she on, John?
Okay, I don't know if Brenda can. Oh, okay. Could she type it in?
Okay, Member Carter, are you present?
Yes, are you present?
Can she hear us?
There she is. She's here. Okay, thank you, Brenda.
So we can hear her on the TV, but not through our speakers. So we have a technical issue on our side, but let's continue on. There is one modification of tonight's agenda, and that's going to be the removal of action item, which one is it? 9.5. So we can strike 9.5 from the agenda. Citizen statements, we do have a few that are emailed in to us. The first is from Yuli Barishnikov. Dear members of the board, I would like to address two items on your agenda. Item 8.1, while study after study confirms that direct, preferably unrestricted, payments to the homeless people are the surest and fastest way to help them to climb out of poverty, the district proposes to allocate 2/3 of the funds provided by McKinney-Vento grant to hire yet another manager. This neglect of fact-based approaches to helping populations in distress and unyielding commitment to expansion of managerial ranks in this district do not surprise us anymore. Yet, it still strikes us as a highly insensitive and counterproductive way to deal with this acute problem. Item 9.6. As the board enters the final stage of the torturous process of mapping the equity work for years to come, I would like to reiterate several key points, quite obvious by now. The board allowed the Equity Task Force to become a vehicle of the administration. ETF is staffed overwhelmingly by district employees, reporting to the superintendent, who is at the same time the facilitator of the ETF. The board let the ETF spend half a year on performative, non-essential tasks like creating lists of definitions. On the board's watch, the administrative manipulated the selection of the entities competed to conduct the equity audit, restricting their attention to commercial enterprises and introducing ad hoc constraints on the pool of available options. As a result, the board is now facing a deeply flawed collection of options. Sticking with it will lead to enormous waste of citizens' goodwill and district funds. It will do next to nothing to materially improve the educational outcomes for the district's racial minorities, children of immigrants, disabled children. This need not be the case. I urge you to reconsider the process. Accepting the sunk cost and starting afresh would allow the district to initiate a truly transformative process of material changes for the better. Institutional racism and sexism, as a rule, cannot be reduced to the prevalence of prejudiced individuals in an organization. They manifest themselves rather in the commitment of the institution, often implicit, to the existing modes of operation, to at best cosmetic changes and to lip service to change. This is exactly what is unrolling here in UST 116. If the board is serious about breaking with these patterns of institutionalized neglect, they should act today. The second, I guess this is just two tonight, is from Ruth Kontorovitz. Dear members of the board, I urge the board not to approve the contract with Systemic Educational Equity, LLC, for the external equity audit. This consulting firm's audits do not meet the minimum standards that were set by the National Academy of Sciences for equity audits in school districts. Their equity audits do not attempt to find explicit causes for the disparities in a given district, Their reports lack the most basic statistical analysis and simply report the data the district collected back to the district. Their coveted focus groups are reduced in their audit report into a list of quotes without any further analysis. This auditor makes no attempt at using the students' stories to find systemic problems. Their focus groups are merely group therapy sessions where participants can feel that their voice is heard and administrators can feel good about that. But nothing else is accomplished towards equity. The audit is falsely described as an external audit, while in effect, this audit process asks the district to select the data. The administration picks and chooses what data the auditors should look at. For example, the Spanish DL program already expressed their worries about letting auditors look at their data. With this auditor, the administration is allowed to exclude data such as the progress of Spanish-speaking English learners towards proficiency in English and their academic progress compared to other English learners. Is this the type of equity audit we want? This consulting firm's greatly profitable product is their 9 hours professional development series. The PDs are an integral part of their equity action plan, and their audits are just a marketing tool for the PD. While our district will be sending all teachers and staff to 9 hours of PD to reflect on their possible subconscious biases, our elementary school students that are bused from underserved neighborhoods cannot have after-school tutoring because they do not have transportation to get back home. Did you know that for years, in the name of equity, our elementary school did not allow the PTA to run a free after-school tutoring program or semester-long enrichment programs because of busing? Please don't be fooled by the consulting firm's popularity. It is not a proof of quality. There is no single example of a school district that has measurably improved by using this firm's equity audit and action plan. Anyone can call themselves an equity auditor since there are no required qualifications. Let's not buy a Thneed from this self-proclaimed auditor. The board's responsibility is to do what is right for our schools and our community. The board should not be a rubber stamp for the administration's recommendations. There was a much better choice for an external auditor in February, Dr. Lewis. The Equity Task Force already told the board in November that they were not interested in choosing an equity auditor, and they requested the board to make its choice. In February, the board was about to choose Dr. Lewis as an auditor with a majority of 6-1 when the dissenting board member, who was also a member of the Equity Task Force, wanted the decision-making to be given back to the Equity Task Force. This was an unethical manipulation of the vote. Please do not approve the contract with Systemic Educational Equity, LLC, for the external equity audit. Sincerely, Ruth Kantorowicz. Does anybody here wish to make a statement before the board as well? All right, hearing none. Is there approval for tonight's agenda? Is there a motion for tonight's amended agenda?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Oh, can I ask, what was the number that was going to be struck from the agenda?
9.5.
9.5, okay.
But since we have one member by Zoom, everything is roll call tonight. So
Okay.
roll call, please.
Okay. Member Hasanatka?
Yes.
Member Orr?
Yes.
Member Ogalski?
Yes.
Member Carter?
Yes.
Member Hall votes yes. Vice President Exum?
Yes.
And President Pulaski?
Yes, that passes 7-0. Student ambassador reports. The student ambassadors are busy studying tonight. Our first item, 8.1, is our administrative report on the Cunningham Township Supervisor's Office Agreement.
Okay. So, Kim is actually she and Linda Gibbons have been working with our partners at the Cunningham Township Supervisor's Office. I think you would like them to come to the table, are they? Okay, yeah. All righty. Yeah, come on up, grab a chair. Hello.
Okay. I will.
Good evening, everyone. We're happy to talk about our partnership with Cunningham Township Emergency Housing Program, and tonight I have with me Kyle Patterson and Danielle Chenoweth. This partnership provides services to USD 116 students and families who are experiencing homelessness. We'll not only talk about our partnership, but the expansion of the services that we are proposing to offer through the memorandum that will be shared this evening. It's a unique partnership that we're extremely excited about, and one which we will continue to collaborate and build. In the fall of 2020, Danielle Chenoweth from the township met with a small group of district administration, which included Todd Taylor and Linda Gibbons. And after Urbana voters supported the anti-poverty referendum, it provided new funding to the township. Since that time, the school district and the township have met to talk about the services offered and the role USD staff would play in the plan. In February of 2021, a memorandum was created that would provide opportunities to refer homeless families from Urbana to the township for services beginning in September of 2021. Since that time, we've worked with the township to continue to provide assistance and resources to our families. Recently, and through the hard work of Tanya Deacon and Linda Gibbons, and also working closely with Danielle, we have a new grant that was awarded to us that will expand our partnership and services to offer more support to our families that are experiencing homelessness. This is an opportunity to be able to do some things that we haven't ever been able to do before. When families are identified as homeless, historically, and we continue to do this, there's a McKinney-Vento form that is completed and services are outlined. Through this partnership, we will be able to really work closely with our schools with this position to make sure that those services are being provided, and also make sure that our families are getting all the resources that we need. So first, what I'd like to do is I'll go over the budget pages and some of the specifics, and then Danielle and Kyle will take it from there. So the grant that has been completed with ISB, there's little over $83,000 that are budgeted. So $55,000 will be towards instruction, any technology and school supplies. $54,300 is for the homeless case manager that I mentioned, and that will be being on site every day at our schools, assisting our students and providing, again, making sure services and resources are provided. There's $6,880, and that's for transportation services. It could be for, sometimes we use that for taxi cab, transportation if families are living outside of our area as well, and so that they can still continue their school. $5,000 for household supplies and food, and then $11,863, and that's for temporary shelter. What we have found, and why we're so grateful for this partnership, historically, once upon a time, there was emergency housing provided with the ROE, and over the last couple years, that was no longer available. Since then, the ROE is opening that back up, but the number of homeless families in Urbana has increased significantly, particularly after the moratorium ended for evictions. And so we've had a lot of spikes with that, and more supports that are needed for our families. And so through this agreement, this is an amendment to that original intergovernmental agreement, and through this grant and this partnerships, we'll have an opportunity, as I said, to provide assistance for families that are experiencing homelessness or experiencing housing insecurity. The position through this grant would work in the district 3/4 days and flexing time as needed for school events. This would begin May 1st and end June 30th of 2023, and this schedule primarily follows the Cunningham Township calendar. So at this point, and we want to hopefully continue to explore opportunities beyond this grant, but this agreement would expire June 30th of 2023. So again, we're very excited for this opportunity, the partnership that we have, and supports that are available. You know, often there's times it could be, you know, holidays, weekends, and it's very scary to think of our families being on the streets and not have shelter. So we're grateful for this support and this opportunity. And so I'll let you guys take it from there. Thank you.
Great. Good evening. So my name is Danielle Chenoweth. I'm the Cunningham Township Supervisor, and this is Kyle Patterson, who will be the housing case manager if this is approved. So I thought it would give you an opportunity to meet Kyle directly. Of course, I'm sure you know Kyle is our chair of our county board and has been active in the community. But also picking Kyle was important because he's the second longest standing staff member in the office. So he's actually pretty much, we make jokes in the office that he's played basically every role. We've kind of moved him from place to place. And I think that this position, we talked about it, and at first we thought about it as an advocacy position, and it's really not. It's really a high-level case management position. So, you know, we're putting our best people on it. We want to make sure that it's somebody who can answer, you know, all the various questions that might come through around housing, and for folks who are needing housing support, you know, there may be other supports that they need as well. So doing that navigation services alongside your other social workers in the community. I do want to just share, because I don't get to talk to you very often, I wanted to share that the emergency shelter for families, that we're calling it Bridge to Home, emergency housing, is doing stupendously. We have close to a 90% success rate in terms of folks moving to more stable housing. So that's fantastic. Last month we served 8 households. 2 families have moved out. 1 exited with an emergency housing voucher. This is just last month's stats. With the Housing Authority, and we are currently serving 9 Urbana children with housing. To date, since we started the program, we actually started it during COVID with hotel stays. But to date, we've served 47 households, including 77 children in those households. So that's really exciting, and this is really only made possible based on the voters of Urbana coming forward and basically increasing our tax levy so that we can make this a sustainable program. Just want to let you know we have 6 units right now on California Avenue. That's going to go to 8 units by midsummer. And knock on wood, if there's not some kind of like economic downturn, we actually feel like that will house our literally homeless families in Urbana. That's feeling, we do have a little bit of a wait list at times now, but the projections based on these 8 or 9 months, you know, that we've been operating at the location show that essentially we'd be able to accommodate the need with the 8. Now, really, I just found out yesterday ROE is continuing, you know, reopening their 3-day stay. And that's also really helpful because, you know, we have folks coming in and out. We had 2 move out on Monday, but we never know when someone's going to come to us, and we were full. So we have 2 openings right now, but we were full last Friday. Actually, we were full through Monday of this week, yesterday. So essentially, just having some time to, like, if someone is staying in you know, obviously we don't want anyone staying in their car. We don't want anyone who's literally unhoused, and that's the focus of this program. So it's really a dire emergency when we don't have that. We do have some dollars through the state right now for hotel stays. So we have been able to put folks up. Anyone who is literally homeless, I don't know of anybody that in the time that we've been open that we haven't been able to accommodate if they were like staying in a car or unsafe condition or abandoned building. So we've never been completely full. We've been full at the location, but we've been able to put folks up in hotel stays in those situations. So honestly, that's a dream come true. I want to live in Urbana where no families are staying in their car. And really, we don't want anyone like that. So I'm really excited that we've been able to get there. This is kind of the next step. So what we saw in our partnership with USD is that a lot of the referrals, it was over 50%, it was about 2/3 of the referrals we were getting we're for McKinney-Vento Definition Act homeless. It is also a really important issue. It's just that best practices is to not take somebody who's housed and put them in a less stable situation like an emergency housing. Really, we want to take someone who's housed and they may be unstably housed, safe. Obviously, if there's a safety issue, we reach out to Courage Connection or, but if it's a safe but uncomfortable situation, we want to work with the family where they're at to help move them to higher ground, work with them to move to higher ground. And almost always that means rental assistance. We have a robust rental assistance program that's already at Township. But folks don't always, you need to have an ID and certain things, certain documentation. If you're moving from house to house, oftentimes you don't have the documentation you need to kind of take those next steps. So that's actually one of the biggest pieces in just helping people, right now to get your driver's license renewed, most likely you have to go to Monticello or Rantoul, honestly. So just the transportation to get there and making appointment, all of those pieces is something that our office does. So essentially what we want to do is for folks who are McKinney-Vento Definition Act homeless, it's a big hole in our community and in our strategic planning work internally at Township. We already saw that this was like our next frontier. I just wasn't sure when we were going to take that step. We didn't have the budget in this year to take that step, but with the support from the school district, with the ISB funding, it really allows us to move into that space. And I think from the perspective of your staff who have been when you're working with a homeless child, you're going to do everything to support that child. And your staff have really been amazing advocates and really supportive. And it's been hard for us because we haven't had we haven't been able necessarily to provide that emergency shelter that sometimes folks were seeking. So I think that this position is really going to help us help people who are doubled up homeless move into their own place if they have income. We provide up to 3 months of rental assistance, right, or rental/deposit assistance. We've increased that funding, so that's an important piece. We can help pay rental arrears, so if somebody, or sometimes people just get terrible information from their landlords. And they're told things like, you need to move out next week, or the city's condemning this building, or, all of this stuff. And Kyle's actually been our eviction prevention specialist for this last year. And so he has really come up to speed as, not a lawyer, but we work with lawyers at Land of Lincoln. And so being able to say, wait, that's not right, so that a family can reach out to us and basically say, I'm hearing this, is it true? And then we can connect them with legal resources to let them know so that they can stay in place. We also do utility assistance. So if somebody is like, oh, I have to move out, because people present all the time, I'm homeless. Well, why are you homeless? Because my water is off. Well, let's turn your water back on. That's going to be a much better approach than, having you move into emergency shelter. So we have a robust utility assistance program for anyone with a shutoff. In Champaign County, we will turn your water or power back on. And then for those who are facing big bills, we work with RPC. So there's that piece. And then we help folks apply for subsidized housing. And then, of course, we'll also screen for emergency housing. So if somebody in the schools is, literally homeless, then Kyle would go through the process of screening them. And then we could potentially refer them to ROE if it's a shorter term stay that's needed or longer term stay with us. So I just wanted to say thank you for our partnership. I feel like we're on good footing and we're taking kind of the next step together. I did some calculations in terms of our administrative tech, and then we're doing 2 months of salary. And so Cunningham Township is contributing about $17,000 in addition to what's here for this year. So we're trying to put that piece forward. And then going forward, and of course this is not what you're voting on tonight or in 2 weeks, but we really do want to sustain this program. So this is just a 1-year contract, but we've already talked with administration about, what are some of the low-hanging fruit for us to apply together to continue this work, whether it's through some of the state funding, through DHS, or whether it's through ISB or some of the other options that we have. So with that, I wanted to see, Kyle, if you wanted to add anything about the program, and then we'll take questions.
Well, you're a pretty effective spokesperson, so I don't know what I can add. Other than to say that, as you said, I've been here for 4.5 years. And working with the schools is something that has always been a big interest to us. You guys have an entity where every family really is required by law to, you know, pass through and is sort of a centralized point. And I think that can be a really effective source for providing social services and getting people connected to resources. So I'm just really excited, and I hope that, you know, we don't really know fully what this is going to look like and how effective it's going to be, so, or how involved it's going to be with family participation. So I look forward to, you know, starting down a path that we can grow from, because I do think that there's going to be a lot of work that we can do.
Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, we're happy to answer any questions about how our emergency housing is going, as well as the proposal before you.
Any questions, board members? Go ahead, Ann.
I have a quick couple. First of all, thank you so much. I was delighted to hear about the temporary housing for families, especially with families with more than one child. I can't imagine 4 kids or 3 kids, even 2, living in a hotel room. So
We had 8
that's
at one point, so.
insane.
Yes.
And the building is like right around the corner from where I live. So I've been happy to see that people are living there. And I wanted to know, you said that you've got 6. I don't even know, when I walk past it all the time, and I don't know how many units there are, but where would the 2 additional units be? Are they in that building, in that apartment complex?
Yeah, so the 2, if you go to on California Street, it's walking distance from the middle school and high school, which is why we picked it. It's like, you can walk to school even on a cold day. You can get yourself to school there. So it's 2 buildings that face each other that are pretty nondescript, and one is 4 1-bedrooms, and one is 4 2-bedrooms. And both of them are very spacious. Like the 2 bedrooms has a large living room and a large kitchen, very large kitchen. And so, you know, in terms of square footage and whatnot, I think we're able to get 8 children and a mom or a single parent of some sort in the space. And so that obviously has been much better than us staying. In fact, hotels, we were cut off. You could have one, you know, if you had 1 parent, you could have up to 3 children, and that was it. So we had to get creative with some. We've had one time in our emergency family program, we had 10 children. So it was like daisy chaining hotel rooms together, and it's not right. Also, you can't cook in the hotel room. So these are full kitchens. Thanks to volunteers, it's all volunteers who donated the supplies, donated the labor, set up every single unit, and we actually have volunteers who turn over the units. So that's why, you know, we're able to contribute the money that we can to this, is because we're just really, you know, thanks to the community coming together, we really like harness that volunteer power with our paid labor. But they essentially reset the unit and have little gift baskets and everything for folks when they come in. So it's a very warm and welcoming. Doesn't look like a shelter. It's not. It's individual units that folks can live in. It's very dignified living, and we've just gotten great feedback from the families. They feel very comfortable and, you know, warm and safe there. It's a protected space, and then groceries are like literally, you know, 1 block if you want to go to the co-op, or like 3 blocks to go to Schnucks, and so they really appreciate that.
And you asked about the 2 additional units.
Yeah.
When we took it over, there was, you know, it's apartment complex, and so there's still a few tenants. So once those tenants are vacating.
That's
there's
what
still
I
a
was
few
trying to
left.
understand.
I
Yeah.
could talk endlessly about
No,
not answering
it's
your question,
fine.
but that's why Kyle's here, is to keep me on task.
Okay, that makes sense. So you're just waiting for those leases to run out, and then you're
Exactly.
hoping to
So we
acquire the whole building.
inherited 2 leases, yes, and both of them, you know, have plans to move, and so we'll have then the full 8 units.
Okay, well, thank you. It is so perfectly located, and if for kiddos who want to go to Leal,
Yep.
the middle school, high school, the grocery stores, like you said, the library, and for people without transportation, I mean, Lincoln Square Mall is right
It's
across
right
the
there.
street for the buses, so it was very well thoughtfully chosen. I'm really proud that we can serve our kids this way, and thank you for
And
this.
most of the families we've served have not had transportation. They haven't had private car transportation. And so it's been, you know, there hasn't been transportation issues. They're able to get around and get to work. And we've had a number of, the 2 families that moved out, you know, one got a new job and was really excited and moved out into her own place and with her kiddo. So, you know, you can't do that if you don't have the transport piece. That's a really key piece.
That's true. Thank you.
I guess I appreciate you being here and talking about this program, and I'm kind of most interested, I'm already kind of like, yes, let's think about the future, because I do think the power of the program is like longevity and building relationships and connecting those services. So I do look forward to kind of hearing about opportunities for grants and continuing the partnership. So I'm glad that it seems like there are potential options, because the dates, I was like, that seems too short. This is too short. So I look forward to kind of hearing more about those opportunities and, yeah, I think the success of the program.
I really do not. I hope that this is not a one-off. I think that would be a tragedy because the problem's not going away. And I think by having our staff member, having Kyle in the schools, you don't have to figure out how to get downtown and talk with us. Like I think people, just like the library, the school is really like one of those units of government. And we've tried to work on this with Township too, where people feel really comfortable, not always in every situation, but generally speaking, that's a place where you go every day and it's part of your, so I feel like we really wanted to go to where folks are at rather than necessarily always having them come to us. And then, I don't know if you should come over to Township sometime, but we're totally out of space. So it really helps to actually, we're doing a lot more street outreach. We're moving our staff out in the community a lot more, and I think that's the right direction for us.
Anyone else? Well, thank you. This is a prime example of when our public bodies really do work better together. You're doing tremendous work for our district, and we can't thank you enough. This will be on our agenda in 2 weeks, so be ready to vote.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Happy to answer any questions in the meantime as you look it over. So thank you. We appreciate the partnership, and thank you, Dr. Tatum.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you, Kyle, for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a list of action items tonight. These are individual action items.
Yes.
The first is our resolution and agreement authorizing a 1-year extension for the Aquatic Center. Speaking of great public partnerships.
So we've discussed this at a previous meeting, but I don't know, do you want to do discussion now or do?
Yeah, we can. This is from the discussion from our
Yes.
I guess our last public meeting, not special meeting. Both the Park District, who's meeting tonight, and us are basically taking the current agreement, extending it for 1 year, and then our joint goal is to work on a longer-term arrangement to keep the services open years to come.
Yep. And Katie can walk through so I purposefully shared the red line agreement with you guys so you could see that the changes are very minimal. So since Katie has been part of the Park District and helped negotiate and kind of make the changes to this agreement for many, many years, she's going to take the lead and just kind of pointing out the small, minimal changes that we've already talked about.
So the bones of the agreement stay the same. The agreement is set up that the costs are split 50-50 for each agency. But those costs have been climbing lately, as we discussed at our previous meeting. And so we put our heads together, and the suggestion that was made that was spelled out in this agreement is that we're going to attempt to close for the 3 months that the outdoor pool is open, to see if we can save some costs by doing so. So that is spelled out under Section 3 of the 1-year extension. And then in addition, the statement that came from the board, both boards, is that we want to have an actual planning process in place for the extension or a future agreement. So that's spelled out in Section 6, where we will begin putting a schedule together. Even actually at our next meeting, we're hoping to start formulating what that schedule looks like for putting together the next agreement for both districts. So I'm happy to answer any questions about it, but I think we covered most of it last time as far as the different costs. And the board was most interested in the option that kind of retained most of our services, other than we will be closed for those 3 months, and then also on Sundays. But all of the other ongoing programming will remain the same.
Any questions? All right, is there a motion to approve this resolution agreement?
Oh, I think we're actually requesting approval on the April 19th meeting is what we had.
Oh, is
This
that?
the first read, because this is the first time you guys are seeing.
Oh,
this.
it's under action items, so that's,
Yes,
the-
it is under action item, Lori. Okay.
okay.
So if you're ready to take action
Yeah.
on it, I mean, we've talked about it.
The park
Sure,
board
the
will
park
have it
district.
as an action item a week from today, so.
Right. Is there anyone wish to put it on the floor?
I will, I'll move that we accept.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, is there any discussion? All right.
I guess I will just only add that I'm assuming that in the conversations to follow, there will be public comment opportunities, because we did receive some public comment about concerns about closing. So in moving forward, I would assume that that would be part of the conversation.
That's the intention, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
For future agreements.
right, I mean,
Yep.
I mean, we haven't discussed this formally with the Park District, but personally, I would like to have a joint meeting with the Park District at some point. It's been far too long since our bodies have done that, and I think, getting the boards together to discuss this in public in one place and one time would, I think, clear up a lot of confusion in the community. So, any further discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Member Ogalski,
Yes.
Member Orr,
Yes.
Member Carter,
Yes.
Member Hasanadka,
Yes.
Member Hall votes yes, Vice President Exum,
Yes,
and President Plasky.
Yes, motion passes. We have one administrative personnel item today on our agenda, which is the retirement of Carol Baker. Is there a motion?
So moved with fond farewells.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Member Ogalski,
Yes.
Member Orr,
Yes.
Member Carter,
Yes.
Member Hasanadka,
Yes.
Member Hall votes yes, Vice President Exum,
yes.
and President Plasky.
Yes, 9.3 is our life safety amendment. Katie?
So this is an additional life safety amendment for a project that we've already received one life safety amendment for. It's for the UMS roof project, but the bids came in a lot higher than expected. So we worked with IGW to do an additional amendment to help cover the costs of the full project. And and that way we can use all life safety funds, because we can't use those without an amendment. And we also received a $50,000 school maintenance grant as part of this cost as well. So the amendment that you see before you that is for 96,186, 50,000 of that is actually coming from the grant funds. So the additional amendment, or the original amendment didn't include that, and so this amendment does.
Right, is there a motion to approve this life safety amendment?
So move.
Second.
All right, any discussion or questions? All right, roll call, please.
Member Ogalski,
Yes.
Member Orr,
Yes.
Member Carter,
Yes.
Member Hasanadka,
Yes.
Member Hall votes yes, Vice President Exum,
Yes,
and President Plasky.
Yes. 9.4 is a bid approval for the Urbana Middle School roof. Randy?
Like Paul just said, this is for the Urbana Middle School roof. Bids were accepted on the March 8th. We had 3 roofing contractors, bidding the roof replacement. The base bids range from $100,295 to $180,000, with an alternate bid package ranging from $48,700 to $70,000, and the bid alternate 2 ranging from $66,597 to $120,000. Staff recommendation that we accept the lowest bid. We ask for it be awarded to Advanced Roofing in the amount of $295,000 with bid alternate 1 and 2 for a total of $220,745. Money coming from the Health Life Safety Grant and the maintenance grant that we applied for, and work to be done this summer.
All right, is there a motion to approve this bid?
So moved.
To accept the bid, excuse me. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any further questions, or, the only question I have is, what part of the roof is this gonna cover?
Above the boiler room, and then 2 other sections that, I attached a map to the
Oh,
thing
you
that was
did.
sent to you guys. I'm sorry, I don't think it's on what I have. So I can't tell you exactly. It's a boiler room and 2 other sections of the roof. I think one's over maybe the cafetorium, and then I'm not sure what area the third one is over.
It's the
Yeah.
last page. but it's
Yeah, I
just-
couldn't figure it out myself.
Didn't we talk about this already, or were these problem areas already that have been up for discussion a while back, or no, this is separate? separate
Last year
thing?
we got
Yeah,
the same grant,
I
and then
thought so.
we also did a $120,000 to $150,000, something like that, worth of roofing.
Mhm.
I think this is by the courtyard,
Okay,
um,
all right.
by the library.
Thanks, that's the only question I have. Any
Yep,
other,
Thank you.
any other questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Member Ogalski?
Yeah.
Member Orr? Oh, sorry. Member Orr?
Yes.
Member Carter?
Yes.
Member Hasanatka?
Yes.
Member Hall votes yes. Vice President Exum?
Yes.
And President Pulaski?
Yes, motion passes. We're skipping 9.5, and 9.6 is approval of equity audit contract. So this is brought back from our discussion from last time when the board was basically deadlocked and wanting to request more information to kind of resolve that deadlock. So I guess we're going to continue our discussion now, unless someone wants to bring up a motion on the floor to approve the contract.
I move to approve the contract.
I'll second.
All right, it's been brought forward and seconded. Now is the time for discussion. So I guess where we left off before is 6 of us had pretty much declared our preferences for one auditor or another. I don't know if any of the 6 of us have changed their positions or not. Now would be the time to bring that forward. And Member Hall was still deliberating. So any
Thank you all for being patient, and I went back and reviewed the materials that we had from previous meetings and Equity Task Force meetings, spoke to Dr. Caffey and Dr. Ivy Tatum and other people, and so, yeah, I feel comfortable taking a vote tonight, that's fine.
right. Is anybody else wish to make any comments or questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Okay, Member Ogalski?
No.
Member Orr?
No.
Member Carter? I think you're muted, Brenda.
Oh, I just unmuted, sorry. I said yes.
Okay. Member Hasanatka?
No.
Member Hall votes yes. Vice President Exum?
Yes.
And President Pulaski?
Yes, it passes 4-3. Up next is 9.7, our superintendent evaluation process. M.
I hope you don't mind that I took
Yep.
Okay, I am working with Tori here, but I'm working on a lot of the legwork that was done for us previously by former member Patton. This is basically just the timeline that is from last year. Pretty much all the documents have stayed the same, but obviously we're in a new year, and I was trying to tighten things up just a little bit. So what I did was I put at everybody's seat the proposed timeline, mostly because the dates that I put at the bottom here, they are kind of adhering for the same amount of time in between each step, but, you know, I wanted to make sure that people didn't point out glaring times when, you know, people are just going to be too busy to get stuff done. So, like, for example, Mid-June, I had at the bottom to hold the performance evaluation with the superintendent, thinking, well, the school term will be finished. Hopefully, Dr. Ivy Tatum's got her plate cleared. We'll have gotten all the reports back. But another question that maybe Dr. Ivy Tatum could answer, or somebody else on the administration, is that at one point when we get direct report responses, I had pushed that up again to be in April. And I don't know if that's a super busy time for the principals and other people in central office, or if this is doable. So I just wanted you guys to have a look at it, and if it looks okay, we can approve it, and I will start sending out documents. But I'm open to questions and discussion.
And again, we could also propose friendly amendments to this before we vote it tonight if we wish. If we want to
Absolutely.
change it, so.
Yep, it's a draft.
So Ann, do you remember, did direct reports have 3 weeks last time?
I kept the memo from last time, and now I just conveniently set it aside. I think they did. If you bear with me for a second here. I did the math, and math and I are not good friends, but it looks to me like the direct reports were allowed 14 days. No, 17. I shortened it to 14. So I don't know if that's too tight for them to get back their responses. Like I had said to somebody earlier that in my experience of doing this now since 2018, there's people who will always get it done immediately, and that's not a problem. And then there's people who are just busy, and they're always going to be busy, and you kind of have to ask them. So, I don't know if making it a few days shorter will hurt that or help that. I don't know. So.
Well, and I'm going to put Lori on the spot because I usually don't have any direct, contact with. Lori's doing all the collecting on behalf of the board.
No, they send back to
they send
me.
it.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
just
that's
send
correct.
it out to them. And
Yeah.
then, got it. Okay.
They send their responses directly to me.
Okay.
So.
Oh, so I guess my question is for you. Do you feel like were you bugging people, or was?
No.
Do you feel like you had to give lots of reminders? Or?
There were reminders to people, but it's always a gamut of things like people are just super busy or the email gets lost, and I don't mind following up on that. I just did not want to put an undue burden on anybody
Sure.
when this is one of the most busy, if not the busiest time of the year, so that's what I was trying to be mindful of. But if people think that they can meet it, and I'm happy, if people say, oh gosh, I know the deadline's the 14th, but could you please give me 2 more days? I mean, that's fine, it's not gonna, it's just if everybody all wrote back to me and said, no way, we can't get this done. So I wanted to be mindful.
I would say, I would sooner say stick to this versus it getting closer and closer to the end of school. Seems more dangerous to me.
Exactly.
Yeah, we
Getting
gotta get it
busier.
in
And I
before that.
think 2 weeks seems appropriate, and like you said, you're always gonna have folks on either end of that getting it done spectrum, so I think trying to kind of shore it up and, allow things to move on is better than more time.
Okay.
And
Well-
I was going to ask Kim too, because I know we do have a lot of end of the year close out kinds of things that we are asking them for mid-May. So end of April is probably a better time.
Okay, so that, according to this timeline, they would be sent their surveys on April 22nd with the request due back by May 6th, which I think, what did I just say? That was 14 days, so that's 2 weeks.
Yep.
It's still May, but it's early May, so,
May,
yeah, and like I said, the bulk of the work will be done by the end of May and the end of the school year. It's just down to us, to me compiling things and to the board members to get their responses back by June. But, we're not bound to the same kind of time frame that the school year is in terms of people being in the office and stuff like that, so.
Just ask a question here. So why can't you just send that on April 8th? I mean, why do you have to do the first step and the second step? They seem like they could be simultaneous. And then they have 4 weeks or even longer to do it.
You mean for sending out the direct responses as well as the superintendent's reporting at the same time, or?
No, it says
Yeah, that's what.
the superintendent direct reports are sent a survey in district mail on April 22nd.
He's basically.
Why don't you just do that April
looking
8th?
this up.
Oh, okay, do it at the same time as the superintendent
Yeah.
receives her eval.
I mean, because nothing in the first step is going to change the second step.
No, it won't.
And then they have 2 extra weeks.
And actually, Ravi, I'm glad you asked that, because I wondered that to myself when I was looking at the paperwork that Peggy had done from last year, and I don't know if there was a reason why she did it that way, or if it was just
Just a tactic to spread it out as long as
an
possible.
abundance of caution. Well,
Or
no,
is there any information that I give you that you pass on to the direct
No.
reports? I don't
no,
think
no,
so.
they're totally
Yeah, they're
independent.
totally separate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't see anything from each, it's all completely, you know, it's discreet, it's private, it's confidential, so none of that matters. It's just a question of getting our ducks in a row. So I mean, I'm fine with keeping it all at the same time and speeding up even more. If you think that's okay, then the superintendent and the direct reports would both get their evals out that, next week, I guess. So it would just boil down to us making sure that I have to edit the things and remove Peggy's name from the paperwork and things, you know, and that's something that if you wanna work on with me.
I mean, the
that's
longest part is compiling the data,
Mhm.
you know, so that needs more time, and
Mhm.
so speeding it up will be good.
Well, and I would, and on behalf of our administrators, I would not shorten the time, but I don't see any reason why we couldn't extend their time by giving it to them earlier, so yes.
So you would say that, say, next week, you and the direct reports all get your evals, and then everything's due back, well, when did I put down that yours would
I'd
be back?
still give them till May 6th.
May
Yep,
6th.
okay,
Yeah.
that works, okay.
So
let me-
basically 1 month,
Okay,
4 weeks.
okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Robbie.
Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, I mean, it's good. You know, it's a process we just keep honing in every single year, and we're getting it further and further back in the school year, which is, I think we're landing pretty close to where we want to be
Yeah.
for permanently.
Yeah, I mean, the only advice I would give the board, having sat in this chair for almost a year now, is that we kind of set a whole calendar up at the beginning of the year with goals we vote on, and an absolute schedule for the check-in, the mid-year check-in that kind of slipped by us this year because it wasn't really formalized.
Mhm.
So that's my recommendation to the board if we want to look at this going forward next year, is to kind of set up a whole calendar in August for goals and goal tracking.
Is that something that would be on the calendar committee, or is that something that
No,
us as a
no,
board
not
just make
getting-
sure we set in
It's,
stone?
it's,
Okay.
it's our stuff.
Yeah, that sounds good to me, and then, you know, just put my feet to the fire to make sure I put it down on the list in August for the things that we vote on. Okay, thanks, everybody, for your input. I mean, I don't think this requires a vote, I just wanted you to all look at it and approve it. I mean, if it is approval, it's down for approval, so does that mean that we vote on it
We
and have it
can,
pass?
I mean, we can say this is what we're doing.
Yeah, okay.
So is there a motion to approve this schedule and as amended?
So moved.
Second?
Oh,
Okay, roll call, please,
Oh,
unless
one-
there's any further discussion.
Yeah, go
One,
ahead.
I just noticed at the very bottom, the very last, it says that the focus areas are from 2022.
Oh.
32.
She's doing a decade
Thank
instead of
you.
1 year.
Yep,
I
23.
reversed my numbers.
Right.
I should know better than that.
Right.
Thank you, Ryan, for pointing that out. I'll make
As-
sure I edit it.
right,
Okay.
As doubly amended. Any further discussion?
And of course, you can always ask me questions even after this is approved. Anybody wants to ask me a question about how it works, I'm happy to help.
Okay, roll call, please.
Okay. Member Ogalski?
Yes.
Member Orr?
yes.
Member Carter?
Yes.
Member Hasanadka?
Yes.
Member Hall votes yes. Vice President Exum?
Yes.
And President Pulaski?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Our study topic tonight is our sub-district map discussion. John?
So at the last map discussion meeting we had left off with, we had reviewed the 7 maps submitted to the district by board members and districts, made by the district, and we had narrowed it down to 2 that we were going to look at for further consideration. The 2 that we were looking at was one of the district ones that was created algorithmically to maximize racial representation in each of the sub-districts based on individual races of those sub-districts to maximize those. The other one, Member Hasanadka had put forward, had 4 majority-minority sub-districts, but also had a substantial population deviation. So in looking at that, following the meeting, there were some other issues with that map that include some blocks that were not inside our school district area. We made some changes to those, and Member Hasanadka had updated that to make sure everything was still continuous. The district was still not substantially proportional, so in order to provide something that the district can consider that met those general criteria without while maintaining the proportionality requirement. We use a different algorithm that, instead of basing it on individual races of districts, based it on the minority representation of individual blocks, sorted those into quartiles, and then used those quartiles to find sub-districts that had the most minority representation in the most number of districts while meeting all of the other criteria. So I did want to, before we dived in, I did take a little bit further look just to make sure that we were meeting the requirements for proportionality. So in the Illinois Code, I think it's ILCS 105/5, Section 922, prescribes how sub-districts may be formed, and it does not have a specific number in there, but does say that the districts have to be compact, contiguous, and substantially equal in population. I wanted to make sure, just so we were all on the same page, that we were meeting the definition of substantially equal in population, which is a delightful can of worms where you can learn about all of the legal codes and court challenges over the last 200 years that have led to where we are now. If you are interested in those, please let me know. I have like a bunch of excellent resources. It's an excellent learning opportunity. Maybe I'll send it to the high school history teachers as well. But there's a de minimis variance for federal districts that is basically that they have to have the smallest variance in population between any federal sub-districts. Fortunately for state districts, that is loosened slightly, and through cases between the late 1960s and late 1970s, ending in Gaffney versus Cummings, they finally narrowed it in on a 10% variance between sub-districts. So as I pull up some comparisons later, 10% is the minimum allowed variance between sub-districts at the state level and local level for us. So we can look at that a little bit further. So I did want to dive into the maps. So I have two things here. One is the summary document, which now just has those three documents. This also includes additional information that we received from the RPC GIS people, and they gave us kind of a summary map. Each of those maps in front of you are the resource that was provided to us by them. Unfortunately, the four majority-minority maps that we ended up with last time, the range percent variance for that one was 44.9%, which does not meet the minimum or the maximum 10% threshold. So the other two maps are there. All three of them are there for consideration, just keeping in mind that the one would have to have substantial changes to meet the federal election requirements. So the District 3 map, or the race, I think it says race first plan, this was the one that we looked at last time. There are some additional statistics. It has the diversity index there for you to look at. And then it has, instead of just the simple measure of compactness provided by the DRA, this one has all three measures of compactness, and that's also included in this summary document. This one I think we talked about and had some time to discuss last time. In addition to having three majority-minority districts, the districts, if I can, it might be easier if I zoom in on this map. So in addition to having the three majority-minority districts, the majorities for those three districts were all by at least a margin of, I believe, 5%. I can go double check that. And that also met many but not all of the other requirements that the board had set out, including a somewhat equal distribution of the university special interest zone. The compactness for many of the districts is relatively small. There are this one, the large rural district, because it is so long and has kind of so many irregular borders, was very low on the level of compactness, but that's also kind of mitigated because the level of compactness of our district in general has some issues, especially on the eastern edges. This one also was able to have additional representation for additional races. So there's one district, I believe, had a higher percent of Asian residents, one had a higher percent of African American residents, and one of the 3 minority districts had a higher percentage of Hispanic residents. So that was an additional something to consider for this one. The second one that we created internally, which was based on the quartiles, ended up with a little bit different. This one still did have 4 majority districts. Unfortunately, the sacrifices that were made to get that were that the majorities in the 4 majority districts are now much smaller. Most of them are a 50-point-something percentage majority for the minority districts. They also, the compactness on average is similar, but some of the districts, the compactness was much lower. If you look at that green district at the bottom, in order to get that 4th minority district, it did have to kind of weave around, and does not make me feel super great about the compactness standard that we're looking for. That district in particular is also a little bit of a paper tiger as a majority-minority district, as it includes a large swath of the dormitories and a large swath of the campus university special interest zone. So this one, really only 2 of those districts incorporated the university special interest zone, where I think it was it 4 for the previous one? Uh, 3 or 4, it was 4 for the previous one. So, and the final one that we're looking at, which you also have in front of you, is this is the district that has 4 majority-minority districts. Those ones also, the majorities are, again, razor thin. I think 3 of them were 50.4. It should be on the sheet in front of you, or I can pull it back up on the summary sheet. But it also does include a large portion of the university zone, split into 3 districts this time. But that yellow district, as you can see, is incorporating just these 2 blocks down here are about 3,500 students. So that one district ends up with 3,500 university students. And this one was a little bit better on the compactness, but because it is mostly splitting the north and south part of the rural district. So at this point, I know it's a lot of information. I will entertain any questions you guys have, and if you have discussion, I'm happy to facilitate that and kind of dive back into maps if there's anything else you want to see, or if there's additional things you want to see in
I'll make a comment.
sheet. Yeah.
One thing that's interesting to me is although there's this variation of population, all 3 of these maps have an average district population of 6,277.
That is the average district population for the district.
For the district?
Yes.
But the standard deviations are different on each of these pages.
So yes. So if you take the total number of population in the district divided by the 7 sub-districts. Every time the average population for all of the sub-districts will work back out to that 600 or 6,627. Was that it?
6,277.
Sorry, yeah. Yes, that is the average sub-district population for the district. That will remain unchanged.
So that's regardless of the map. That number's on every one of them.
That will be, yes,
Yeah,
that's the total divided by 7.
Well, that's interesting. 'Cause I would think that would be the way you divide them, taking the number in each. Well, I guess it always works out that way with math.
Yep.
Yep, all right. All right. Well, so one comment I'll make about this map, just so it's made, that is the map I made for majority districts. Now the map John put up there has different colors than the maps we have on our papers here. But on our paper, the yellow one, which
Yes, this one.
Yep, that's it. So that yellow district, which is the one with the most population, 8,132, that two, I don't know what you would call them, 2 little blocks in the upper left corner of it, or northwest corner of it, if you flip that to the blue district, it drops the population by like 2,200.
Yeah.
And then when you do that, it drops the over 50% minority to below 50%. So that is a thing. So the majority of the minority in that district comes from that 2 blocks. And
That's
also
true.
2,000 for the population.
Yeah, that's
So-
the PAR, FAR blocks.
So I contemplated when I
believe.
was revising it a couple weeks ago to just do that and then call it the 3 minority districts. But, I didn't realize my map would be totally thrown out because of the population variance at the time. But I guess it is no longer valid because of the state law.
And I apologize at the time. I think I mentioned that the variance was outside of the range, but I don't think I had all the legal information. I've been looking that up since. And there's a lot of it. If you want to go through it, I'll be happy to send it to you.
Any further comments or questions? Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I have a question. I mean, I was having a slight, the colors threw me off, so I was on the wrong page.
They threw me off a little too. I've been kind of going back and forth. And some of them are very similar on that page. Like there's
Right.
2 different kind of fuchsia pink colors.
So my question, when I was trying to track the difference between the map called quads and race first, when I count quote unquote majority minority districts by just looking at the column that says total white being less than 50%, I think I count 4 in both of them. And I didn't think that's what was said. So I see in quads, District 1, 2, 3, and 5 all being less than 50% white, which is the same on the race first plan. District 1, 2, 3, and 7, although 1 is 49.7%. But am I, like,
That is 100% accurate. I noticed
Okay.
that also earlier today. If you go back to the DRA, which let me do that real quick, for the quad or the we're on the race first. Actually, hold on. I want to be over here for the race first one. And I apologize, this is slightly small on the screen. That District 1, again, it was very close, but it was the other way. When the RPC did some additional analysis, some of the math did not end up, some of the percentages did not end up exactly as they did when we were doing it in the DRA. And I think there might have been some minor variances in how they calculated population. Oh, I do know what the variance is. So in my map, I had incorporated Hispanic into the races. They disaggregated Hispanic and made that its own grouping. So instead of having the Hispanic included in the racial distribution, they had it disaggregated into its own thing, which is consistent with the way the federal government keeps track of Hispanic, non-Hispanic as a sorry, I'm blanking on the word now. Instead of a race, it's calculated as a ethnicity. So, thank you so much.
Any further questions or comments? So, I have a preference, I think, for the race first plan over quads, just simply for the one weirdly shaped district. I think it's important that compactness isn't just something we have to adhere to legally, but it actually does present a problem for the county clerk's office when we split precincts up so finely that they have to print, 4 or 5 different ballots for a given precinct because we've carved it up with our lines pretty finely. I guess there's 2 in that precinct and 2 in that one, but I guess I just have a preference for the race first plan.
Yeah. It's a lot of pastels that and let me know, please, if you want me to zoom in or out on anything.
Yeah, I think the aspect ratio is off too. So
This came from GIS, and this is through the app.
So the purple on, yes, should be light blue and part of, yep. The purple and teal on that screen should be black.
To further exacerbate things, the numbers also changed when they did the GIS analysis, and so not everything entirely matched up. Was there something different on their map?
Well, it looks like
The map makes this map makes
the purple and the
what looks
Light
like
blue.
6 and 3 on what we're seeing on this bar screen as 1.
yep.
And I'm just wanting to make sure that's true if we're talking about precinct compactness.
Yeah.
Because I can't
Oh.
totally tell on this.
Yeah.
No, those are different, and I think the colors are just one is I apologize. I did not make that map. One is a grayish light blue, and the other is more of a pastel light blue.
Yeah, the purple is much clearer.
This is the map that was submitted,
Okay,
and this
okay.
reflects those
I was saying it wrong
statistics.
too. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
I also can't entirely tell, but another thing we had talked about last time, and I remember was one of the things that Ravi had done in his map was to ensure that Wiley wasn't carved up so bad. And that area, is that in the quads map? Does it fall in the pink? Oh gosh, different color, but I can't tell what the cut point is.
That's a different map. That map on the screen is race first plan.
Oh, okay, on the other one,
So quad, yeah, there you
which is yellow. Where, can you just tell us where Wiley is in there?
go. Which color on that?
Yeah.
Where's the school itself?
Where's Florida and Anderson, please?
So I can see Florida and Vine is green,
So
but I'm trying to, I can't tell this.
yeah,
I think it's
you
not
need to go west. You need to go west.
it might be in the blue.
We
Okay, so it looks, it's carved up, it's right in the middle again of multiple districts?
Looks like 3 of them right there.
Yeah, I kind of was thinking it was green.
Okay, so I couldn't tell.
Why?
You want closer or further? Am I in the right place?
Get close.
Oregon, and if you go down Anderson, you're coming down a little bit further.
Yeah, where's Florida? I'm gonna have to walk up there so I can see.
Here's, I think, is this Philo?
High school, middle school.
All right.
So keep coming down. Oh, up?
This is the athletic complex.
Okay. Yep. So we need to go.
Washington,
So
Go toward Randy,
this way.
this way.
no.
We're looking for Wiley?
We're looking for Wiley,
I'm
not
sorry.
not for King.
Other way. We're going to Rantoul.
All right, Randy, you're not allowed to navigate.
Okay. So it's basically where your cursor is right now. That's the Wiley neighborhood, starting on the.
Park.
Yep. So the black line there divides. That's Race Street. Or, not Race Street. I mean Vine Street. That's Vine Street, and then
Oh, I see it. I see it.
there's Wiley right there.
Okay, now can you shrink the map and leave your cursor so that we can see which? Okay, it's that big.
Yeah, it's that big black area that's carved up into two colors.
Green on our map,
I thought it was
but
green.
blue wraps around and kind of.
Yeah, it's carved up a bit.
Do you want to see that also on the race first?
Sh-
Okay.
Yeah. It is.
Okay. Give me.
On the quad one, it's green. And then on the race first one, it's like the lighter blue.
Okay, so we need to go to the left, I think. All right, is that the, okay, there's the high school, middle school campus, so so there we go, that's it, right, there's Wiley. It's carved up a little, it's carved up as well a bit, because those neighborhoods to the north, the yellow neighborhoods to the north, yeah, it's carved into two, both of them. It's just a little cleaner, this one, in terms of the boundaries, but I think in terms of population, it's probably about the same.
Almost all the boundaries are cleaner in this one.
Yeah, I think the county clerk would like this one better.
The quads one.
No, the race first.
Race first.
Okay, gotcha, race first, yes.
This aligns more in the precinct boundaries than the other one. Any other questions or preferences, board members? Because we'd like to have one of these come up for a vote in 2 weeks. Do you want to whittle it down to 2 and then allow the public to give us input and then make a decision next week or next meeting?
So for public input, we have posted these on our webpage for the past, has it been about 2 weeks, and solicited input.
Okay,
We
yeah,
have
good.
received the amount of input that you would expect.
No, we're not voting on tonight. There's no action item for it tonight, so we can't vote on it if we wanted to, but.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think when is the 90 days due before we have to submit it to the county 90 days before? Is that?
More than 90 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we were getting pretty close to the deadline. So I think, my recollection is that we were required to make a decision at the next board meeting.
Okay. All right.
Sounds like AMC's map, unfortunately, because of the variance is out. So these two that were
Yeah.
the race first or the quads.
Yep.
One more question, John, sorry. That issue of the university area, again, the colors are confounding me slightly. How, is that divvied up better in the race first plan? Like, I mean, it appears it is?
It absolutely is. So
Okay.
this is the blue district at the bottom here, turquoise, I guess, let's call it.
Okay.
Ends up with the FAR, the yellow district ends up with the PAR. And
Okay.
then actually PAR's in, I think, this little white chunk, but the yellow district ends up with kind of
Allen and-
Busey Evans, Allen, and then this is kind of the north part of campus.
ISR.
Yeah, and then this is I think that's university, so the green district does still end up with, is that university? The green district does still end up with the very far north end of campus, although that's a little less residential at that point.
Okay, and so then in the quads map, that's long brown district ends up with a lot of it, which is also the smallest percentage white district. So in some ways, if the university is accounting for some of that variance, we're also inflating the degree to which this is really a minority-focused map, the quads.
That is the paper tiger of which I spoke earlier.
Okay.
It is a
Alright.
minority district on paper only.
Gotcha.
I mean, it
I'm
is a minority district according to our election laws and representing all of our
Yeah, I
constituents.
mean, we don't see many students typically voting in the municipal elections for school board, so.
And just to clarify, John, the county clerk actually asked for 5 months, which is why we're kind of up on because he has to print the ballots, and so.
Yeah,
it's
I
more
knew,
than 90
I knew we
days.
were getting close to the
Yeah,
deadline.
more than 90 days,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that, yes.
Right. So we have 2 people speaking in favor of race first. Any other board members want to express their preference? Brenda, do you have any opinions? If you're speaking, Brenda, you're on mute.
And I don't know that Brenda got these paper copies because,
Yeah, they were at our tables here.
so she's kind of at a little of a disadvantage.
She might, yeah, she might be out too. That's true. And they're up on the
Yeah,
website.
but they are harder to see. That's why we gave you guys the paper, because they.
I don't know if it's at all helpful to potentially overlay this on the current map for the public to have a better sense of what is actually changing.
We
Sorry,
could do that.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking more just sort of like, not necessarily numbers. I'm just talking about like
How it
shapes and
looks.
streets, because
We could do
For
that. I would probably
voters
do
and-
one at like a 50% opacity. So the colors, when they're overlaid, would be
sure, I mean, you might have
instead
to
of
just, yeah.
7 colors, now there'd be 49 colors.
the main
Uh,
streets.
So, but I think with some lines, maybe
I
it
guess I
would
was
make
just thinking of
sense.
simplifying
Yeah.
and the opacity, because I am still sort of hearing from some public members that they're not, like, what is the redistricting, about, and how would it, right, how is it gonna directly impact me? So it's like, where do I live? Who's now my what's that district? So,
Yes.
just a consideration.
Is there a way to unbold the current dark lines that are there now? Because if so, then you
Yes.
could darken the current districts with dark lines.
Yeah, something like
Potentially,
that.
that might work as well.
I think it's just hard to if you're looking at these maps, sort of know what it is you're even looking for to
Yeah.
see what's different. If you don't,
Especially if you can't see streets and
Yeah.
stuff too, which I don't really.
The streets are also on there, but they're an even lighter opacity. So they're kind of, if you don't zoom all the way in, you can't really see them. We could also make the interactive map available as a view only with the current district lines bolded on that. I think I have those geometry files still from the initial map, so. And then we'll put it back on the district redistricting website to get additional public comment, and we can manage that through the contact us.
All right. So the goal for this discussion tonight, I guess, would be to either select, for the board here to recommend one of these maps to have as an action item for our next meeting to be voted upon. If the board doesn't seem to have a clear majority on that, then I would suggest we whittle it down to 2, and then we decide that night. But I think the preference would be to put 1 as the preferred option to put on next agenda.
I think the goal, I mean, that's the goal too, but another goal is to create a map that increases the representation from what we currently have. So the question then is, does the Race First plan do that? Does the Quads plan do that? Or do we just leave it the way it is? You know, so.
We're also not allowed to leave it the way it is because that's also outside of the.
Oh, well, that answers that question.
Okay, sorry.
So, does the Race First plan
I guess which one
improve the representation more or less than the Quads plan? And I don't know. Part of when I look at these maps is, one, you want to feel, because I think the thing I'd asked for before was if we could have the overlay with the school districts. You know, so you could see
kind of neighborhood feel, you mean?
for because the philosophy used to be you would have, each school would have potentially 2 board members that they could call theirs, you know, or for elementary schools. So, you know, with the paper tiger map, does that take that away? You know, is there potentially
I'm having trouble seeing the fine print, but I think
4 school districts for
I
one?
think the darkened lines right now are
Yeah.
the school district lines.
Oh.
not the existing district
Oh, that would
lines.
make sense.
Well, let's take a look at that real fast.
Yeah, that,
And
Oh, that can't be right. Unless there's
no,
like 20
that
school
can't,
districts.
that can't be right, because.
Do we have 20 elementary schools? You know, it seems like there's too many.
so, some of them are split, I think, north and
Yeah.
south. I think King had a section in the south part that was not continuous. The school district attendance zones are not required to be continuous. But it might not
Oh,
be
yeah,
also. I
that's right.
cannot read what's in that bottom corner.
Yeah, that's Yankee
without
Ridge
taking
there,
that.
that's Wiley there, that's Thomas Paine there, yep. Yep, that is, yeah, that's the attendance boundaries. So that big square one with the cornered cutoff, that is Wiley. In the middle. Yeah, that's, yep, and then to the south of there is Yankee Ridge. And it goes up to Colorado on most of it, but up to Florida in the northwest corner of it. And then that goes to King because that's the Orchard Downs, thank you. And then up to the north is Leal, that bigger one. Yeah, okay. So that gives you an idea of how this splits up.
And I think if I can read the tabs at the top, it's how big it is. It's not I think we have one of them. Oh, here you go. Is this helpful? Well, no, because it's super small, but. Is that a little more helpful for the attendance zones?
Yeah, Rust maybe, or.
And then I think the Carnation one on the right side. Go back to the other one. Yes. Let me do this.
Any chance you could have the 2 maps with the school districts side by side?
There
On
is
that
a
screen.
chance. Here, give me a second.
2 windows? John, this is why you're the chief information officer.
You might be able to shrink some of those data areas too, to make the map area bigger. Yeah, we're gonna crash Dave's redistricting website tonight. So this is, okay, this is the race one.
And if you'd like, I can do a little math offline. I think if the hope was that each board member sub-district would be representing at least 2 elementary schools, it does not look like that's going to be a problem because the way the boundaries were drawn. I think most of them, it looks like, represent 3 plus. But I can get you a number of how many each one's, and I can email that to you following the meeting as well.
One, maybe I'm reading this wrong, is Green, Leal, on the right. It does look like there are 4 proposed districts that would all be in the Leal area, which was one of the things we talked about earlier that may be disadvantageous because there's so many districts in that little area in our new map.
Yeah.
That is one of the higher population areas. That's why those districts are a lot smaller than, say, the blue, red, and green turquoise districts.
I mean, yeah. It looks like King has 3 with its 2 attendance areas. It looks like Yankee Ridge has 3 as well with its 2 attendance areas. It looks like Thomas Paine has it's 2 point something, it looks like. There's a little bit of overlap, I think, with that purple district. Am I eyeballing it right? Maybe not. It might be 2. Wiley, it looks like it has 1, 2. Looks like purple and or is that? Looks like red and that purple one in Crystal Lake Park. Primarily. Oh, maybe it's 3. It's actually 3 for Wiley. So I don't think it's terrible in terms of giving each school multiple members. That's my preference. Do board members have enough, I guess, information to kind of state a preference of one versus the other tonight? Does anyone need any more information?
My going preference is race first. Okay. I'll concur with the other 2 who said that already.
Tori and Laura?
I mean, I think.
I'm a little concerned about it staying Leal heavy. I'm a little concerned about it staying Leal heavy on the Ray Street plan.
that's, yeah. That paper tiger is
Oh,
is
no.
Leo.
What have I done?
Where's the undo?
Undo.
There you go.
Whew, okay.
And I didn't undo far enough. Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Was that it?
Yep.
Okay.
Nice work.
See that you have the paper one. I'm just gonna make sure.
I really hate that paper tiger one. That Kirby thing right there. Yeah, there's so many students in that in terms of like actual voters in that district, it's not going to be many people it represents. There's a small group of voters who are basically going to be represented by a board member.
Right, and it doesn't solve there's still 1, 2, 3, minimally 4 that are all in that little area on both these two maps. It's just one of them has so many college students in it.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable saying the race first map as well.
I guess Ann or Tori? It sounds like we have got 4 votes for the. Yeah. All right, so I guess the direction is for administration to bring back the Race Street map as our proposed map at our Race First, excuse me. Thank you. Race First map as our proposed map at our next meeting. Okay, great. I think that ends our agenda. There's no call for future special or executive meetings. Superintendent's report.
Okay. Bear with me, we do have a pretty long one. There's a lot to share in the upcoming week. So, National Assistant Principals, sorry, thank you, Paul. So bear with me, this is a longer one. We're looking forward to sharing this out with the public because it does have a lot of information. So this week is National Assistant Principals Week. So we thank our assistant principals for everything that they do. I just want to say their names out loud. From the high school, Julie Blixen, Travis Corson is an assistant principal for just a few more weeks before he moves on. Dr. Janice Nolan, Steve Waller, at UMS, Maria Elvire, Patrick Russell, Natalie Bretz, at Gerber, Beth Gatchie, Dr. Williams, Chad Musselman, King, Michelle Turner, Thomas Payne, Andrea Jackson, Yankee Ridge, Melanie Furchow, and Urbana Early Childhood, Katie Madigan. Leo is getting very, very close to hiring their person, so they're going through that process again. So congratulations to all of our assistant principals. We celebrate you this week, and thanks for all you do. Yesterday, April 4th, was National School Librarian Day. And John, I do have the clicker. Sorry, I'm hiding. Was National School Librarian Day, and this week is National Library Week. So we're thankful to all of our school librarians who show our students the world through books. So thank you for all you do. We have been getting out the word about registration earlier and earlier with the hope that we can get more students to register. Today, I'm going to talk about in the next slide, we had Kindergarten Connection. So we have started kind of creating some visuals and infographics and that we can get out digitally for families that share a little more information. So on these screens, they're small, but when we send them out, we'll send them out, individually so people can blow them up and get all the information they need. So we will be opening up the online registration window much earlier this year, starting May 31st. Instead of June and July, we are opening the window with the hope that all returning students register by Monday, July 25th. We are putting some parameters around busing this year. It was really, really difficult to get bus routes mapped and developed for the first day of school because we had so many families not registering until the very last minute. So we're going to do everything that we can to get this out and promote it for the next few weeks. The elementary schools are going to be providing workstations for people to come in and register. Because it is really important for first students that we get as many people registered by July 25th as we possibly can. So more to come. Today, despite the rain, we had many families who came through Lincoln Square Mall today for Kindergarten Connection. It was so wonderful to see everyone there in person. And I know last year and the year before was very, very difficult trying to get our kindergartners registered and ready for school, and trying to do that remotely and through Zoom meetings and things like that. So I know families seemed very appreciative. Kim and I stopped by today for a little while just to talk to some of our kindergarten teachers and some of our staff and families that were there registering. So we have a lot of kindergarten activities listed here because we are excited to be able to welcome them back. Save the date for kindergarten open house. So this is a save the date. All of these are May open house opportunities for our students transitioning from Urbana early childhood, from Head Starts, from daycares, from basically all over the community are welcome to attend these open house nights. So we will be sharing these. The schools are sharing these. So just wanted to put that on the board's radar as well. We offered this last year, and we're hoping it is just as well attended as it was before. We're again offering a kindergarten readiness camp. It's just for a few days. We are hosting it at Dr. Williams, mornings only, but it's a great opportunity for families to really get to experience a little pre-kindergarten readiness. And so registration sign-up is due by May 23rd, so we're also promoting that and sharing that. We are offering current dual language families an opportunity to participate in a focus group meeting tomorrow, April 6th. That will be at UMS. This is all part of the work of the Dual Language Planning Committee that has been working behind the scenes to talk about our model for dual language, our current model. So this is one of the first engagement opportunities for families. So we are going to have two rooms, one for our Spanish-speaking families, so the session can be all in Spanish, and then another room for our English-speaking families. So childcare is available, and we encourage everyone to attend if you are a current dual language family, not someone looking to be part of dual language. This is for our current families. Sixth grade orientation. So this is also something that we have had to put aside the last couple of years because of COVID. So we're happy to bring this back. I know our sixth grade teachers are excited that this is coming back because they have seen a huge difference in the students that have had an opportunity to visit the middle school, know a little bit about what middle school life is like. So there's a family orientation for all incoming sixth grade families on April 25th. And then the fifth graders are going to go back this year for their visits. And so Dr. Wiemeld has been sharing this information out with all of the elementary schools. So those days in May, students will go over, they'll get to do things like see the lockers, and they'll see all the lunchroom. That's usually a big hit, to be able to go through the line and see, wow, we get to have all these food choices, because typically they don't get that at elementary. And it isn't the same as it will be next year, because we haven't been able to do all those fun things like a la carte and things like that do through COVID, but that is something that our incoming sixth graders usually always look forward to. We are still looking for a king principal. We want input from families. We do need to share. We have shared the hope, wishes, and dreams with staff, and those have been shared with staff and families. I'll be sharing an email with the board about the current king principal. She's decided to leave a little bit earlier than expected per her retirement, so I'll send that out to you guys. But right now, we are really hoping that we have more candidates who are going to be interested in being the next principal at King. We also are going through that same process at Urbana High School, Hope, Wishes, and Dreams. So we have been collecting surveys and input on what people are looking for the next UHS assistant / associate principal to replace Mr. Corson. So Annie Jr., so Broadway on Vine is back. The UMS theater students, yay. Thursday, April 7th is their first in-person performance. It'll be in the cafetorium at UMS. You can buy your tickets at the school. And then they have a Saturday afternoon performance on April 9th. So they've been rehearsing for weeks and weeks and weeks as part of Splash. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. I know the students and the teachers are really looking forward to being able to have an in-person presentation of their Broadway on Vine performance this year. Next week, couple of important dates. So we do not have school on Friday due to spring holiday, and Thursday is our last school improvement day, so staff development day. So our early childhood and elementary students are not in attendance, and UMS and UHS have early dismissal. That is it. Thank you.
All right, board reports. Any board reports tonight? Hearing none, I entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Still have to do roll call. Roll call, please.
Member Ogalski?
Yes.
Member Orr?
Yes.
Member Carter?
Yes.
Member Hasanatka?
Yes.
Member Hall votes yes. Vice President Exum?
Yes.
And President Pulaski?
Yes, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.